Okay. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, this just hit me like Saturday night, late Saturday night, to put together something that might be able to help people who haven't thought this through, or they're kind of stuck in a place and they don't know kind of which way to turn.
Hey, Steve, are you recording this?
Yes, it's recording. Let me just
Okay.
make sure. Yep, it's recording.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. I want to make sure that everybody understands that we all have the same goal, and that's to help our business survive, protect our families, protect our servers, protect our clients, and we can jumble or rearrange or randomize that list, but we all have the same goals, a common goal of making sure that we take care of ourselves, and then taking care of ourselves, we're able to take care of our clients, take care of our process servers, our employees, and our families. No one has all the answers. The idea or the thought that one man is an island or this is the definitive way to do this is just absolutely absurd. And I don't even pretend to present that thought to you guys. This presentation was made to share ideas and provide direction. There are many ways to accomplish the same goals. This is just what I did and what has appeared to work for us. What I've come to understand in my career is that I can take what I've done in the business I've built as a process server and move it to any industry and have the same success, because success is parallel. All I have to do is be flexible enough to make a change here, change there. That's what's important. These are my thoughts and what I have done to protect my business, my staff, my servers, and in doing that, most importantly, protecting my family. In no way can I or am I directing you to do what I have done. We all have the same concerns. Protect our business, protect our employees. Look, you know, when this thing hit, the scare, the look on my face, the face of my employees, on my wife as my business partner, on my son-in-law as a business partner, it was frightening. But what they saw in me was calm, because in a way I kind of saw this coming. And I have been thinking, and all the thoughts rolling around my head of how do I handle these things if this thing hits. And it just so happens that I was on the front part of the wave, and it actually made it smooth for myself, and now I even have some answers for my process servers, and that right there takes the rest of the stress off of me. When it comes to personal, because we're going to talk a little bit about that too, just a little bit of background. Prior to being a process server since 2003 for 20 years, I was with Primerica, so I was able to do budgeting and credit counseling, a little bit of credit counseling and things like that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the personal side of this also. How do I keep my family safe? What about my personal bills? And will I still have a business after this event is over? As I rolled through Saturday evening, or actually when this event first started, there was a million things going through my mind. Couldn't sleep, stressed, because I was concerned not about me. What I found a long time ago is that if I look at things and put things in place that would help me take care of myself, then I can actually take care of other people. But it can't be a selfishness that it's just only about me, because then we lose. And true leaders don't like to lose, and they don't usually think only about themselves. As a business owner, we're concerned about our clients. Again, our servers, our employees, ourselves, our family. We're concerned about payroll. How are we going to make payroll? How are we going to keep the rent up? And what are the utilities? Because we don't know if this is going to be a 2-week deal, a 6-week deal, a 4-month deal, or a 2-year deal. We have absolutely no idea. We can think, but we have no idea. The first line of defense is safety. Look, whether I have a business at the end of this event or not is not important if I infect my wife, or if I infect my grandkids, or I infect someone else that causes them to lose a loved one. So we have to think safety first. And as I was thinking about this, I also came to the thought last night was, even after they say this event is over, we still need, for a period of time, to keep these safety items kind of in the back of our mind, because we won't know for sure that it won't rear its ugly head again and maybe even come back stronger. Okay? Social distancing. And a lot of these things you already heard, but social distancing. Look, the object of social distancing is to reduce the probability of contact between persons. I had a friend of mine, Isaac, called me yesterday, and he said, I went to serve a paper at a house, and a 5-year-old kid opened the door, and as soon as the door opened, he's like, "Achoo, achoo, achoo," and I just stepped back. I'm like, yeah, this is what the problem is. We can't really protect ourselves, even in regards to a 6-foot rule, when people are answering the door and we're stepping to them to try and serve them papers. Also, wash your hands. And now the question was asked of me that I wash my hands after I got my water. I washed my hands before I got the glass. I washed my hands when I was leaving the kitchen area too. But and
Dang it.
initially, prior to this virus, I'd wash my hands before I eat. But now, I mean, I find myself washing my hands throughout the day, because we have to understand that germ is actually on even packages and even on mail. They said that it'll live up to 24 hours on a package. So my wife runs around the house with the gloves on, and she's disinfecting the mail and she's disinfecting the boxes. We got to make sure that we also protect others by covering our coughs and sneezes, and disinfect the area that you're working for. Gone are the days for the handshake when you greet, the handshake when you leave, the hugs, the bro hugs, the fist bumps, and even kisses I think for about a week. My wife is so concerned I didn't even get a good night kiss. But the thing is, it's all in the ideal of safety, and it's only going to be temporary. What good is having safety measures and you don't use them? And then we come out of this event, the economy soars, and we end up, how would you say it, infected, our health,
Compromised.
Compromised, exactly. Who's that helping me? That's good. Good job. Okay. When it comes to work from home, some process serving companies, you're the Lone Ranger. That's great. That's fine. Some of these items that are on this list, you still need to kind of employ. But those that have offices, when we first moved home, which was, I think, a day after Trump issued the national disaster proclamation, we had to have 3 meetings that day so that we made sure that people weren't duplicating other people's work. So we assigned responsibilities to our staff, and we said, you take care of this, you take care of this. If you need help, then you talk to someone else on the team, and they'll help you with whatever issue or whatever responsibility that you may be falling behind on. We over communicated even on a daily basis. Even to this day, they still over communicate, because there's nothing like someone answering the same email and getting the client getting a different response from 2 different people. Dealing with clients, even if you shut down like we have now, even if you shut down, you still need to answer those emails. If they don't hear from you, they don't know that you're going to come back after the event. And it's unprofessional not to respond to an email and or a phone call. Remember, we need to offer solutions. Just remember, stay calm. We had an attorney yesterday, paralegal, who called us, and Debbie talked to her, and she told her that we had ceased service. We were going to the registered agents because they had put their tables outside, but we weren't going to offices and we weren't going to homes. So she said, okay, no problem. She sent us the paperwork, and then she proceeded calling other process servers. The first 2 companies she called were the other 2 companies I own. And on the 3rd one, Debbie says, Karen, this is Debbie. You talked to me 3 times. She was so embarrassed, but she said, I'm really sorry, but this is the attorney. And they had a discussion, and Karen told Debbie, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and you're absolutely right. The issue is hold on a second. The issue is
Can I got?
hold on a second.
You want to let the girls know you got them? Yep.
Okay, the issue is the attorney. They just want it served. And I had a conversation with my wife, and what I said to her was, they sit back in their ivory tower and they send us out on the front line. That just means that they really don't care about us. They just want the job done. So stay calm, and remember, all you can do is all you could do. We've eliminated pickups of documents, and we've eliminated walk-ins to our office. Why? Because we don't know, and we're not going to take the chance of someone being irresponsible and it affecting our staff. If you're still serving, ring the doorbell and back away from the door. Actually, this should be a common practice anyway, because it presents a situation to the people that you're trying to serve that that you don't mean them any harm. I tell the people in our certification class, I've had 90-year-old women answer the door for me at 9:45 at night, because I present in a body language situation that I don't mean them any harm. But now we're going to do it for safety in case they open the door sneezing, or they're sniffling, or have red eyes, because the up under their eyes, because they're got cold and stuffed up sinuses. If you see a person who exhibits signs of cold, politely tell them you're going to serve them, but place the papers down on the porch. You don't have to hand them to them. These are uncommon times. I tell my servers when we were still serving, if you see someone with a cold, you don't have to serve them by refusal. Just tell them politely that you're going to set them here so that you can make sure that there's no cross-contamination. Just tell them politely and be respectful. Remember, doorbells, door handles carry germs, so carry hand sanitizer. Self-isolation, if you feel that you have a fever, and basically it's over 100, so a normal temperature is, I think, 98 point something. But if your fever is over 100 and you have persistent cough, then you need to coughing and sneezing, you need to self-isolate. People, what I tell you is what I found, the people that I've talked to, the people who've called me, what I found is that they're so concerned about their business, they're so concerned about money and paying their rent and paying their mortgage and all these kind of things, which these things are important, but these are unprecedented times, and that's not the most important thing. Your health is more important, and the health of other people is more important. So now we get into the business solutions. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about the COVID-19 stimulus package that has not passed Congress. I'm pretty sure it will pass. And what's pending currently is a $2 trillion stimulus. And they're talking about direct payments of $1,200 to every adult in America. I would assume it will be every citizen in America, but they may give it to every adult. $500 for every child in your home. They've already said that they will allow business owners and independent contractors to file for furlough. Furlough is temporary unemployment. Matter of fact, one of the things that we did in our office when we sent people home was we told them immediately file for unemployment. It's temporary. You're coming back. The business is coming back. We're going to be back. We're going to be stronger than ever. But if we can't pay you past this payday coming up, or we have to pay you half of what we need to pay you, then you need to be already in the system in line to be able to get an unemployment check. The SBA also is offering small business disaster relief loans at very, very low interest rates. What I would tell you as a business owner, even if you're a sole person, is to fill out the paperwork, get them the information they need. You can always decline the disaster relief loan if you don't need it or if you don't want it. And if you don't use the money, you can always pay it back. What my point that I'm trying to make in regards to the stimulus and the furlough and all the things that are being made available to them is that you have to take advantage of them as if this is going to happen. This event is going to last for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. It probably isn't, but you'd rather be err on the side of caution than to be caught up trying to play catch up down the road, because that is one hell and one stressful situation to be in. When we talk about personal strategies, and this is what I talked to, one of the very first things that I had my wife do. This is one of the very first things that that we did in our business, was that because we didn't know how long it was going to last, we started hoarding money. You know, I have a mortgage like everybody else, like most people. If you don't have a mortgage, you're probably paying rent you're probably paying rent somewhere. The very first thing that you want to do is talk to those people. We called our mortgage company. We talked to the business. I know I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself, but we talked to our property manager here at our office. We just started putting these things in place. Hopefully, we won't need to use the deferment. We won't need to do the things that we talked to the property manager about. But if we did, the last thing we want to do is have that stress on our back. Not that they're talking eviction, but that we're getting so far behind, and then we start talking to them, then their conversation back to us becomes totally different. So exhausting your savings and having needs you will not feel good, and you won't be able to take care of your family ultimately if you do that. People understand that you're not the only one going through this, and you need to understand you're not the only one going through this. There's a lot of people in the same line that you're in. The question is how far down the line are you? It's great to have options in these times like this. It's great to have options in life, but it's especially great to have options in these times like this. Cash is king. You know, right now for us, Debbie and I, all our bills are paid for this month. I mean, we're kind of coming to the end of the month, but I've told her, you know, the thing is we're going to go to the bank, we're going to pull some cash out, because if the ATMs become empty, I mean, I need to buy something, or the banking system or our grocery stores, credit card, our debit card thing goes down, we still need to buy what we need to buy. I don't know what I'd be like if I had to live in the house with my wife and she's saying, you know, I need this. And I'm saying, well, yeah, but the money's in the bank, we can't get to it. I would, happy wife, happy life. I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure that that doesn't happen. When it comes to your mortgage, call your mortgage company and request a payment deferral. We called yesterday, and they told us that that they would defer our mortgage payment for up to 3 months. Now, if we come out of this thing and our cash flow, and this is the other thing you have to consider, that even if we came out of this tomorrow and just a click of a finger like that, this was all over and everything went back to normal, the question becomes, how long will it take for your cash flow to restabilize? So if we come out of this and my cash flow restabilizes and I can make my mortgage payment the first month, I don't really need the deferment, and we'll make our mortgage payment. Why? Because I'm really not interested in adding 3 more months to the end of my mortgage. But if I need to, I want to make sure that I have that already in place. They understand, trust me, you're not the only one. She talked to the people who have the notes on our vehicle, and Chase, they were awesome. She says, yeah, you want a deferment? Okay, good. We'll give you 3-month deferment. She goes, that easy? She goes, that easy. But see, that's what happens when you call and you have open lines of communication. Remember, the option is still available to you to be able to just start making your payments on time if we come out of this in a different situation. Better have it worked out before you need it, and it's okay not to use it even though you're approved. Apartments. Apartments, we're finding have a different mindset. Even though Colorado and most states probably have doing the same thing, they've stopped all evictions. In fact, they've stopped all foreclosures But the apartments are telling people, nope, your payment is still due. Nope, your payment is still due. Well, you know, I told some friends of mine, I said, okay, that's great and fine if you have the money. But if you don't have the money, what the hell are they going to do? Put a 3-day notice on your door? It isn't going to hold any water at all. So basically, you got to do what you need to do to go back to that very first thing I said and hoard cash. You know, keep the money, because in reality, if this goes for 2 years, you might need that money if you're not working and your unemployment isn't enough to be able to pay the essential things that you need to pay, and maybe in food would be probably the most essential thing at that point in time. Oops, let me go back. In regards to apartments, also, not even apartments, just apartments, but even homes, in Colorado, they've actually stopped the utilities from turning off water and electricity. So people who find themselves that they've been behind for a long time, they cannot get their water or their electricity turned off. So the people are trying to do the right things, and I think in the end, a lot of these renting apartment complexes are going to basically come to the final decision that they're going to get their money one way or the other down the road, but they don't have any power or leverage right now. Personal strategies. Everyone files for furlough. You may or may not get paid during a national disaster. You know, we considered, we had a meeting and we considered everybody taking half pay until this was over because of the stimulus and things that are coming, and because of the furlough, and because, you know, the last thing you want to do is run the company bank accounts to zero, and you need something and there's no money to pay something like whatever the situation may be. Everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean everyone, including business owners, because that's going to be what's passed when they do the law. And even if you, as a business owner, if you apply for it and then they don't put that in the law, who cares? They're just going to freaking deny you. Who cares? Okay. But if they put it in the law, the last thing you want to do is be on the tail end of everybody trying to, get their application in. Like we already see that the system is bogging down, and the website for unemployment here in Colorado keeps dropping, and people are having to do their applications at 2 o'clock in the morning. Also, independent contractors, and I was really excited to hear that they're putting a provision in there for independent contractors to be able to collect unemployment under this relief bill. I can't wait today to call my process servers and tell them to get on the website and start applying for relief. Business strategies. This is gonna sound bad, but the reality of it is that not all good news is worth. I mean, it's people don't want to hear all good news. Hoard your money. Here we go again. If like in Colorado, the governor has suspended all evictions. If my landlord decided that they did not want to work with us, and we wanted their payment, and we went through this for 9 months, and maybe I can only pay them half because we got to feed people and trying to help my employees and all those kind of things. Too bad they can't issue an eviction order. So, but the good thing about it is it's like stair steps on a ladder. If we take the first rung of the step and we have a conversation with them, they're going to be more apt to work with us down the road if this thing goes for an extended period of time. When I talked to Janet the other day, she said, "You're not the only one that has come to me. Most of this building has." And she said, so in things that I didn't even think about, here's what she said. She said, "Don't worry, we'll work with you." I said, "I assure you that we're not going out of business, and we will catch up any arrears as our income stabilizes." She says, "Okay, I got a couple recommendations for you. Have you checked your liability insurance for business disruption?" Never thought about it. So I did. And guess what? We have business interruption insurance. Not much, only $25,000. I say only, but not much, but we have it. Remember, cash is king. Cash is king. And if it gets really bad, there will be a run on the ATMs, and then you'll go to the ATM, put your card in there, and they'll tell you they won't be able to dispense any money. And the banks will be closed because they're trying to protect their employees from the virus. Everyone, sometimes when I do this presentation, and I know I've done it, I'm adding these things in here multiple times because they're very important. Everyone files for a furlough. It's just temporary unemployment. SBA disaster relief. This is the URL. After we get done, I think everybody had to put their email address in. I'll send these URLs to you. I'm going to give them to Trent also, and he'll put them on Serve Manager. By the way, I had a slide that we had running, and I had it set last night that it would run through 4 or 5 slides, and then I put it on this thing this morning and it doesn't run. So I tried to show your thing, Trent, but we'll show it on the way out. But basically, Trent and ServeNow graciously, I mean, they just got the. Let me just stop real. They just got the freaking email from me saying that I was going to do this, and I'm getting my email blown up. How can we help? How can we help? What can we do? What can we do? So what they've done is they put together a disaster relief resources page on ServeNow, and I'll give you guys a URL here in a few minutes. And it basically lists the things that they know about different states, and if you know different things, like I'll give them a couple of paragraphs today about what's going on with the Colorado courts and evictions being frozen and stuff, so that people know if they haven't heard. But if you guys can add some information to that, that would be great. And Trent, I want to tell you, you are probably you want to say this, ServeNow, Serve Manager, Logical is probably the best friend to process servers across the nation, and you should be very proud of that. Don't smile.
I want to thank you for bringing this together, Steve. I mean, this is information that, not only we can use to hopefully keep our businesses running, but just the personal information as far as where we can go for resources and help. And I dropped that link in there in the group chat. So if anyone has anything that can support the industry, either professionally or on a personal level, please send it my way, Trent@servenow.com.
Thank you, Trent. I appreciate it. Let me say this too about the business disruption. I talked to Michael Yergi, and if you guys don't know Michael Yergi, you probably should get to know him. He has, I think his family, he's taken over from his father's insurance and but they create specialized programs for process servers and investigators. Just real quick, I'll tell the story. When we first bought liability insurance, the company we bought it from was $800 initial payment and then $169 a month for 10 months. And when at the end of the year, I read the policy and I'm like, well, this wouldn't cover a damn thing if I had any issue, someone sued me for a service, or it wouldn't cover nothing. Then I went with Yergi, and I think our price was $750 for the year, $1 million liability coverage, a lot of other things, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then the next year, same $750, but my liability coverage went to $3 million. I'm like, who does that? Who does that? And now when I called him about business disruption insurance, he goes, we do in our policies put a small amount of business disruption in there at no additional cost. It's small, Steve. It's not that much. It's $25,000, and I'm thinking $25,000 is not that much. $25,000 is a lot more than telling me it's $2,500. And he said, now he says people are going to find out in their liability insurance that their policy doesn't cover any national disaster, and they don't even have that small amount in. So if you find that out after this thing gets over and you guys get your cash flow done, we're going to actually have Yergi do a webcast with us and talk about the difference in business insurance, because there's nothing like having it and paying for it, and then when you need it, you can't get anything out of it. Office rent, again, we have already talked about this, talking to Janet. She's the one that basically told me to look at loss of income, business disruption, business expenses and debt. Most of your phones and electricity, they're not going to shut they're not going to shut the electricity off. But you can call the phone company and just tell them, yeah, we're going to make the payment. We're going to try and make it every month. But if we don't, again, it's just, in my opinion, is when I was doing financial planning too, I tell people it's better to talk to people before you find yourself sinking in the mud, as opposed to being in the mud, being desperate. They hear desperate in your voice, and you got an asshole on the other end that doesn't want to do anything to help you. That really is the presentation. What I would say to you is this, and then I'm gonna unmute everyone. What I would tell you is make sure your microphones are muted. We'll go to the chat. I'll find the chat thing here, and I'll call your name, and then we'll give you a few seconds to unmute yourself. And that way there won't be 15 people trying to talk all at the same time. Where do I find chat here? Trent, help me. Where do I find chat? Oh, wait a minute.
You're just looking for the text chat. It's in the bottom of the screen there.
No.
You can send I already sent the our link in there. It looks like you have some people making some comments and stuff.
All right, hold on a second. I have.
Pete says we are applying for the disaster loan assistance, and I can speak from experience what it's like so far. If people have any questions, we'll be submitting it today.
Let me tell you, because we submitted ours too, and we submitted ours, and what happened was it took my wife. It asked for a signed tax transcript for Debbie and for our company. And then those went through, it downloaded, we signed them, scanned them back up. And then it asked also for one for me, of course, but it would not take mine. So I called the 800 number. I think I was on hold for like 12 minutes. And they told me to take my email address out of the profile, save the profile, and then go back in. And voila, it worked. It let me download it. I signed it, scanned it back in, and then I put my email address back in there. And then after that, we were done. So if you need to call the 800 number, call them. I was really surprised. It was only a 12-minute wait, and they were very, very, very helpful. I'm still looking for the thing. So go ahead and read the next question for me.
I don't see any other questions at this point.
Does anybody have any questions and/or comments?
Hey, this is Pete. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Pete. Thank you I like what you did. Go for it.
Just to kind of further to your comments, Steve, and for people who might be wondering, I was surprised at how straightforward the application process was. I did consult with a counselor at, I forget which unit it was, but from the Small Business Development Center about the process. And she encouraged me to act quickly, just because it's going to be a first come, first serve. So if you're considering it, certainly act quickly. The high level questions I had, I said, hey, how does someone look at this? Do I, scale back operations and say, this is how much I need based upon, after we, cut things. And Steve, I see you shaking your head, and her comment was, no, pursue it as if business is normal, but, anticipate, and we had in our position, and I don't know if anyone can relate to this, we had our best month ever in February as a business, but as of March, last Friday, we were running at half our business. And so her take was, we don't know how long this is going to be. Is it 6 months, 9 months? And so she said, take the shortfall and multiply by 6 or 9 months. And so, and the idea being, we are a small company, we have 3 total employees. But, through this, we're having to consider, do we lay off one? And her suggestion was pursue this with a loan to maintain that employment and what that would take. Now, the thing that I have to look at as a business owner and just being a normal person like everyone else is the loan is unsecured up to $25,000, and then it's collateralized anything above that. And so I'm submitting the application, but I will have to, it will be a family decision whether, our biggest asset would be the house and the equity we have, and, do we want to collateralize the loan with that? And so, I'm submitting because I'd rather be in a position to decide, whether to take the money or not. But I was surprised at how straightforward it is. They are suggesting that it will take 3 to 4 weeks for the application for the loan officer to contact you. So, we're budgeting going, all right, that's April. I'm sure there will be some additional paperwork that we may have to submit, like some taxes that may not have been done yet because of the tax year. But it's something that, everyone's going to be in a similar but different situation. And I'm pursuing it because, the same thought of contact your mortgage holder, contact, your landlord, just put yourself in a position so at least you're in a position to choose is maybe my takeaway.
Pete, I appreciate that, and you're exactly right. What I would tell you is, from what I've read on it, they're not going to be looking at credit. If you have spotty credit, they're not concerned about that. And just because if you have a need, just because they say collateralization up to 25,000, after 25,000, I think they're going to probably waive a lot of that, because the challenge that we have is that most of the businesses in America are small businesses, and the last thing they want to do is run you out of business. So but you're taking the right approach, in my opinion. Even 25,000 would be good, but it'd be good if it meant that you can take care of things that you need to take care of, or take care of your employees and or yourself. So that's a really good idea. Anything else, Pete? Are you okay?
Well,
Okay.
Ron asked what documents are required for the application. So maybe Pete, you have that information.
Yeah, Pete, do you want to do that? You want me to? Whichever.
Yeah, no, I'll chime in, and Steve, you can follow up. The documents we needed are the tax. In my process, I had to submit 1 year's tax return, and that's why I alluded that when I talked to the loan officer, I'm sure they'll ask for more. I too had a problem uploading it, so I think I'm going to try to hand deliver it before the 5 o'clock deadline today. So they asked for a tax return, a personal financial statement, a business liabilities and assets, but nothing else, so to speak, to submit. And to Steve's point about the credit, I was surprised at how straightforward it was asking for information. Just top line assets, top line liabilities. And the documents that you did have to submit were actually documents you downloaded, signed, and submitted. They were some release forms. But it was, compared to a bank and trying to get capital, this was a far less strenuous process.
And let me add to that, Pete. They didn't ask me to submit. Hold on a second. They didn't ask me to submit my tax return. What they asked for was the tax transcript authorization to get it from the IRS. But I'm going to tell you, try taking the email address out of your profile. And if you've already got the signed transcript, and you just scan it in, right? Or it won't take it. You just have to go on there like at 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And if you said something about a deadline, is there a deadline to file these?
There is no deadline as of now that I've been told, but because it's a first come, first served basis, you probably don't want to wait until, crap hits the fan and then you decide to do something. Just because, and again, this is probably evolving. We may be dealing with finite money. We don't know, but certainly, sooner than later. And to your point, Steve, it was suggested to me too, and I'm finding this myself. I've been filling out the application before 7 a.m. Just because after I've noticed at 8 o'clock, the website is just slow. And so do it during off hours, just because you can imagine if we're doing it, there's 100,000 of us trying to do it too.
Right.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
And I just touch real quick on the SBA. And of course, as we all know, geographically, we're all getting touched in a different time, and everything is a timely thing. So here in New Orleans, I can tell you, things probably in the last 3 to 4 days developing rapidly. And as they're doing that, more of these incentives and then coming into these state laws of what to do is just everybody's kind of working collectively together, which seemingly causes a delay sometimes. What we were being told in regards with this application, it was the same thing. When as soon as we got the information to go on and do it, there was a lot of downtime that, it would take forever in loading anything. Same kind of general information in regards to your personal and your office expenses. However, what we were also told, you want to just get your application in. So don't get hung up so much in regards to trying to get in touch with your CPA, because he may be remote. Again, this depends on your area. I'm talking specifically in the South, in Louisiana right now. Everybody in the Orleans and Jefferson kind of going to that mandatory unable to work unless, key such. So CPA wouldn't be considered. So that could be challenging for small business to get in touch with their CPAs to get these finances. But again, what we're being told is the most of importance is to get that application in the queue. And once there's actually, I want to say there's a link that says if you're unable to upload your documentation, there's an opt out to where you'll say you'll mail it. And they're telling you to select that. That way your application will be submitted, if that's helpful.
I would tell you personally, because when I had the issue with it uploading, Pete, I thought, okay, I'll just take it down there. I'll just mail it. The last thing I wanted to do, because it says in there that they will not start the process until they get everything. The last thing I want is this one piece of paper hanging out here, and it takes them 9 months to get it to them because of all the stuff. So you're just going to have to get up early, in my opinion, if you're me. And that's what I did. I got up early and I uploaded it, and it went through. And so that kind of solves that part. Anyone else have a question or anything that they'd like to add?
A couple people asked for the presentation. I don't know if you can see the chat, but you can upload the file there. You got it? Okay. Yeah, there's a file button there.
Oh, cool. Oh, wait a minute. Trent, I hate you. You're such a techie. So let me just make sure I'm not going to just upload it to this guy personally. I think I can upload to. Okay. Any other questions?
You can switch to change it to everyone.
Oh, okay.
Or you can email it to me. I can upload it as well. There's some folks talking about unemployment for part-time employees and contractors. Does anyone have any insight on that?
What I've been hearing is that they're not going to deny anyone in regards to any position that they have unemployment, period. And I told Debbie, I don't know that we would need it because we do have savings, but I don't know how long this is going to last. So we're going to apply. So we're probably going to have to get up early or stay up late and get that done, because I want to be in line as opposed to them telling me not too late. So anybody, it's better for you to apply than it would be for you to not. Okay, let me see if I can do this. All right, I'm sending I'm going to send this presentation. Everybody should have it there. There we go. And I think you just click it, Trent, and then they can just download it.
I believe so. I haven't uploaded a file to the chat before.
Well, let's see. Nope, that says to him personally. Hold on a second.
Change. So see where it says to, there's a drop down. I think you can send it to everyone.
No problem. All right, hold on a second.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Real fine, real fine. Did you catch the question where people were asking if process serving was an essential service or not considered essential?
Okay, okay, I did not catch that, but let me give you my take on it. I don't think that process serving is an essential deal because it breaks almost everything. It breaks the 6-foot rule. And how do you know when the people open the door that you're not infected, or that they're not infected, and that you end up taking something home? And if my ideal is safety first, I'm going to make sure that that myself. I mean, I'm going to make sure that I'm not taking anything back home to my wife. So I don't think it's essential. But to say that and to add this to it, I talked to a friend of mine who's serving for the DA in Denver and Arapahoe, and he told me that both of the DAs have told him that to just cut this off. Why? A lot of it is because he's going to the door and no one's answering the door. You know why they're not answering the door? Because they think you might be infected. So, you know, we do what we can do. We can take them to CT and CSC because they have a table outside. But then again, there's still a concern of who's walking down the hall, or who walked down the hall and who touched the pin. So, you know, take a safety first. I've got 2 ladies. I'll say this, and then we'll see if anybody else has a comment. I got 2 ladies that are I'm trying to serve small claims paperwork for, and I've located where these people live, but I'm not going to their house because I don't know what they have, who they have, what, you know, I don't know. And they certainly don't know me, and they're not answering the door. So they're going to probably end up getting an extension, in my opinion. So,
Hey,
yes.
hey, Steve. Glenn, I'm sorry, it's Gail Kagan.
Hi,
Hi.
Gail.
Hey, so in New York, the governor here has put out a list of essential cases like guardianship and stuff like that, temporary restraining orders and violence, you know, domestic violence and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that if the cases are essential, or serving them are essential?
Yes, you know, I'm glad you said that, because that reminds me, in Colorado, the Supreme Court closed down the courts, and they said that only certain emergency cases, and they did just like you, Gail, they said civil protection orders, parental responsibility where there's endangerment of a child, and some criminal cases. But we also found out yesterday that there was a criminal attorney that tested positive for COVID-19, and he was in the courts 3 days last week. So now they're considering closing the courts down even for non-essential. What I would tell you is I believe that all these cases are going to get continued. Even the people who have court dates, they're going to get continued. And I don't think they're going to penalize anybody whose papers expire and that was on their last set of papers that they could serve. So, you know, again, it just comes down to Denver closed down, and they basically said, stay at home, don't go to work. If you work in Denver, don't come to Denver to go to work. I believe the other counties are going to follow. So in a few hours at 5 o'clock today, I believe it's going to be a moot point of whether or not service is essential or not. I honestly think, personally, serving debt papers at this point in time is not a very good idea. People are already stressed, and we know for a fact that we cannot 100% avoid attacks on process servers. You don't want to be that guy.
Further to that point, okay, I'm getting a lot of mixed feeding. People in New Jersey are still serving. Some people in New York are still serving. I'm at the point where it becomes a moral dilemma for me, you know. Can I send servers out there knowing that gun sales have soared in my state? You know, when my process servers got attacked on Friday night, you know, I'm thinking, and this is a guy who would normally not get attacked. So I'm thinking, you know, protect my family, but also protect my servers and, you know, try and get them paid, give them the information that you just gave us about independent contractors being able to go on unemployment, and let everybody stay home so we can get past this. You know,
I agree with you, Gail. I agree with you. You have my heart, and it's important. You know, the most selfish thing I can do is send my process server out to go serve a paper. That's how I look at it. I wouldn't do it. When I was out there, I think I stopped on, I didn't go out Sunday night after they basically, the governor had his little speech here. I didn't go out Sunday night. And then I called on my process servers and said, put everything you have on hold. I'll deal with the clients. I'll deal with the clients. And the client, and in my opinion, the clients that are begging me to go out there, telling me to go out there, I'll say, I'll tell you what, why don't we go together? That usually stops the conversation right then and there.
On the other hand, though, I get guardianships, and you know what's happening in the old age homes up here. They're the ones that are getting hit the hardest. So I'm getting these guardianship rushes where they want to be able to take over the people's medical stuff, you know? So I'm thinking, okay, so I can go to a court and file a guardianship paper, you know, but.
Until the court, are your courts closed?
Our courts are closed only to certain cases. So now as, you know, in my role as a process server and my obligation to due process, knowing that it's a true emergency. So now do I go out on these guardianship papers, you know, taking every precaution I can, gloves, masks, the whole thing, and not touching anybody else's pens, wiping my hands, and file these guardianship papers. This way the nursing home can get jurisdiction over the person's medicine and end of life and all this other stuff that they have to deal with in these nursing homes. It's truly a dilemma.
I would consider calling the law firm, because I know New York is different than Colorado, but in Colorado, attorneys are required to e-file everything. And so everything could be done. Even maybe you might consider certain waiver of service even to the court. If you call them, they don't want to see you as much as you probably don't want to see them, and ask them if they can do a waiver of service for the filing. You know, if you can send it, because they understand what's going on, but at the same time, nobody wants to be at risk. It's a dilemma that you have to consider and make the best choice of what's best for you guys, and that's what I would do.
I asked the court to e-file these cases. They won't. My next thing is to tell the attorneys to overnight them with, you know, returns. But so far, I haven't gotten any cooperation on that.
Yeah.
The best they're doing for me is.
I think in New York is closed down. I mean, because they're the worst right now.
They're the worst.
States. So yeah. But listen, remember. You know, no one can ever fault you when you do all you can do. All you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. It's that simple.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?